Welcome to The Explainer. You know the drill. We take tricky topics and break them down into something you can really sink your teeth into.
So here's the big question, right? How do you actually build an AI system that's ready for the real world, something that's truly production ready? Well, today we're diving into a course that gives you the blueprint for doing just that. We're talking about going from the absolute basics all the way to a fully working AI agent.
And the philosophy behind all this? It's super simple, but honestly, it's so powerful. It's this idea that you don't just learn, you build. You read the theory, sure, but then you immediately get your hands dirty with actual code. And it doesn't stop there. You learn to watch your spending, monitor usage to keep costs down, and then you just iterate. You do it again and again. It's that cycle, that loop, that really turns book smarts into genuine mastery.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about the foundational skills you need. Then we'll dive into mastering the big models, followed by how to give them new information. After that, we'll get into building intelligent agents. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the final capstone project that ties everything together.
Okay, let's get into it. First up, the AI engineering quest. And this whole journey starts by building a really solid foundation, even before we write a single line of LLM code.
Look, building really powerful AI is so much more than just writing clever prompts. It's about being a solid engineer. You've got to know your Python, especially libraries like Boto 3. That's basically your Swiss Army knife for working with AWS services. And then you need bash scripting to automate all your infrastructure work, plus a good handle on statistics. I mean, how else are you going to know if your model's actually working well?
Okay, so once we've got that foundation locked in, it's time to talk about the main event, mastering foundation models. These are the huge, powerful LLMs that are really the engine behind everything we're going to build on AWS.
So what is a foundation model? Think of it as a massive, general-purpose AI brain. We're talking about the big names here, like Claude from Anthropic or Llama from Meta. They've been pre-trained on just an insane amount of data, so they have this incredibly broad understanding of language that we can then tap into and shape for our own needs.
And this is where things get really cool. With a service like AWS Bedrock, you're not locked into one model. It's like a buffet of the best-in-class models. You want Claude for its deep reasoning? You got it. Need the speed and cost-effectiveness of Amazon's Titan? It's right there. Or maybe you need the raw power of Llama? The point is, they're all available through one single unified API. No more juggling a bunch of different services and SDKs. It's a game changer.
And check this out. This shows just how easy it is to tap into all that power. You're not spending days on complicated setups. We're talking a few lines of Python using the Boto 3 SDK, a simple API call, and boom, you're generating text. It's that accessible.
Okay, but here's the catch with the standard LLM. Its knowledge is basically frozen in time. It only knows what it was trained on, which is usually public data from a while ago. So the next big challenge is, how do we give it access to our stuff? Our private documents, the latest data, all that proprietary info.
And this right here, this is the classic problem, the wall you hit almost immediately. You ask the model about your company's newest product, and you get this. I don't know. It's this powerful, brilliant model, but it's totally in the dark about your specific world. We've got to fix that. And the solution has a name, RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's kind of like a two-step dance. First, your system retrieves the right facts from your own private data. Then it augments the LLM's prompt with that info. It's like giving the model a cheat sheet right before it answers your question.
So how does that actually work under the hood? Well, first, your question gets turned into a mathematical representation, a vector. Then, a special kind of database, a vector database, searches your documents to find the chunks of text that are most relevant to your question. Finally, those chunks get stuffed into the prompt along with your original question. This gives the model the exact context it needs to give you a smart, fact-based answer.
And would you look at that, the result is a complete 180. We go from that useless, I don't know, to something incredibly specific and helpful, even citing the exact document it used. That is the magic of RAG right there. All right, we've learned how to make our models knowledgeable. Now let's kick it up a notch. It's time to build systems that don't just answer questions, but can actually go out and do things. Let's talk about intelligent agents. You can see the difference right here. A simple LLM call is just input, output, done. But an AI agent, that's a whole different beast. It works in a loop. It gets a goal. It thinks about how to achieve it. It uses tools like calling an API.
It looks at the result, and then it decides what to do next. It's a cycle of reason, act, observe.
And what's really mind-blowing is that this idea scales up beautifully. You can build entire teams of agents that work together just like a human team. Think about it. You could have a router agent that's like a project manager, handing out tasks to the right specialist. Or you could have a whole swarm of agents all attacking a complex problem at once. It's really powerful stuff.
Now, trying to build all this from scratch would be, well, a huge pain. That's where a framework like Strand's Agents comes into play. It's an open-source tool that gives you all the essential building blocks right out of the box. Things like tool use, memory, state management. It handles all the low-level plumbing so you can focus on the fun part, the agent's actual logic.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together. The grand finale, the capstone project, where you take every single thing we've talked about and build a complete production-ready customer support agent.
And I want to be clear, this is not some little toy project you do for a class. We're talking about building a system that's designed from the ground up to be deployed in the real world, to handle real complexity and scale.
You're going to be putting together a serious enterprise-grade technology stack. You'll use AWS Bedrock for the AI brain, the Strand's Agents framework to handle all the logic and tools, and a vector database to give it knowledge using RAG. On top of that, you'll use other AWS services for a secure runtime and a full CI/CD pipeline to automate your deployments. This is the real deal.
And the course walks you through every single step of the process. It's not just about writing the agent's code. You're setting up the infrastructure on AWS, you're integrating tools, you're deploying it, testing it, and then you're actually monitoring it to see how it performs out in the wild, the whole life cycle.
So, by the end of all this, you haven't just finished some online course. You've gained a legitimate, powerful, and incredibly practical skill set. You've gone on this whole journey from the basics all the way to launching a real AI agent. So the only question left, really, is what are you going to build next?